Normally get any oars, but anyway, this is Dyson. Now, just before I carry on, I've obviously got Dyson out of this box and it's very warm, and I've put Bruce back in there, but I have air conditioning in. There are fans at either end, and that keeps it lovely and cool for the birds. Dyson is a vulture, not any old vulture. He's an African white-backed vulture. Once upon a time, these were ever such a common sight in Africa. If you went there, you was going to see a white-backed vulture. Things have changed. Did that scare you? Things have changed. Since 2007, the conservation status is now endangered, which is terrible news. Vultures are so important, and they are having all kinds of problems in Asia. They have lost 99.8% of their vulture population. What vultures are all about, they do have this reputation, you see, of being dirty and smelly. But they're not. They're lovely birds. They need to be clean in order to be able to fly and therefore find the food and indeed survive. So it's just the feeding habits that are pretty gory, and I'll explain a bit more about that as we go along with his part of the routine. So he would spend his time using that 6-foot wingspan, very, very broad wings as well as long. He'd be using that to just allow himself to glide around. What he doesn't want to really have to do, he doesn't want to use up too much energy. So on an overcast day, for instance, the vulture is grounded. He's not able to get up. He needs the wind to fly, or he needs a rising current of warm air, called a thermal. And as the warm air spirals up into the air, they normally start rising about 10:30 in the morning. That's when the vulture gets interested in getting up into the air. His eyesight, like all birds of prey, is amazing. He's got binocular vision, so easily 8, maybe 10 times the power of our own, and he's on a constant search for dead things. That really is what he's all about. Come on, land over on here. There we go. So yeah, from thousands of feet up. Some vultures, it's a relative of this one, it's called a Ruppel's griffon vulture, and they have been recorded at heights in excess of 30,000 feet. And they know this for a fact because one Ruppel's vulture was sucked into the engine of an aircraft, and they managed to identify what bird it was. But generally speaking, you'd be expecting a vulture to be between 1,000 and 4,000 feet, but they really can find dead things from that altitude. And once he spots something, it's at that point that he puts on the air brakes. He's going to descend out of the sky, and as he descends out of the sky, he's hoping to get all of that meal for himself. But it's never going to happen, because all the other vultures that are dotted around the sky understand that if he's descending, he's found something. So they all home in on the same target, and you can end up with hundreds of vultures around a carcass. Carcass, children, if you're not aware, is just another word for a dead animal. So he might have found a zebra or a wildebeest. It's normally a wildebeest, isn't it? Everything seems to want to eat those. But yeah, then he's obviously got to start to try to devour his meal. This is going to be quite low for you guys here, okay? You might want to... you can stand up, that's fine, that's fine. Don't try and touch him when he's coming over, though. So yeah, if he, there was one occasion, there was an elephant carcass, and they had over 1,000 white-backed vultures around the dead elephant. And what happens is, they want to consume everything. But let's say it was something more normal, like a zebra, for instance. The vultures are happy to put their entire head and neck right inside of it. But this isn't a really big vulture. There are others, like a lappet-faced vulture. It's that big off the floor, with a 9-foot wingspan. And on site here, where I keep the birds, just round the corner, opposite the boathouse, we have an Andean Condor baby. And that bird's going to have a 10.5-foot wingspan. Truly monstrous birds. Other vultures are an awful lot smaller than this one, but they really do come in different shapes and sizes. So they rely on the bigger vultures to open up the dead animal. But in the case of this vulture, if the carcass is whole, he can't break in through the skin. He's not strong enough. His beak isn't tough enough for that to happen. So what he does is he goes into the dead animal where there's already a hole. Now, most children think of ears, noses, eyes, but it's not that at all. It's actually the bottom. And what he does, he sticks his head right up the bottom of the dead animal and vacuum cleans it from the inside out. Well, he is called Dyson, isn't he? So yeah, that's what they like to do. But they do a brilliant job for Mother Nature, because he'll eat the heart and liver and lungs, obviously all of the flesh. He can even deal with putrid flesh, even maggot-ridden. But if we didn't have vultures and other scavengers, there are lots of different things that scavenge, of course, then the world is going to be littered with dead things, and there's going to be an awful lot more disease about and that sort of thing. So very important creatures for us to have around. And I love this vulture. He's incredibly confident. He's 4 years old now. He's of breeding age, and that's what we got him for. But the two girlfriends that we introduced him to, one at a time, of course, they didn't fancy him at all. One of them actually beat the living daylights out of him. But we're hoping that by getting him out and getting him fit and strong, that he's maybe going to be a little bit more attractive to the ladies. But anyway, we'll see if we can get him just to head out there one last time, and I'm going to leave Dyson at that. But later on, we're going to be flying a milky eagle owl and a North American bald eagle. The owl's rubbish, but we're going to fly him anyway. But the bald eagle is a pretty impressive bird to see. But we've got loads going on at the castle today. We've got the jousting coming up on the River Island. Don't miss the Warwick Warriors in the central courtyard. That is at 2:30. But we're going to bring Dyson down here. I'll drop him a couple of pieces of food onto the log, and we'll let him come in for his final piece. So that is just about as much as we've got time for, but thanks very much indeed for coming along and watching, everybody. Yeah, big round of applause for Dyson, and have a great afternoon. Thank you.